Yesterday, I gave the example of someone getting up to turn on the radio and chooses the radio station S of sadness and listens in the news who was dismembered, who was killed, who was mugged. Other individual chooses the radio station H of happiness to listen to the news of what new discoveries are taking place or what positive news are taking place in the world. And in this manner, each individual is choosing the frequency that has an affinity for. It is for this reason that the individual who has become accustomed to be yelled at, to be told off, to be beaten up, or to be humiliated, and the day that he's not being beaten up, or the day that he is not told off, he misses the blows, being told off, or the humiliation. Therefore, the dysfunctional emotional and mental patterns have to be worked through in order to change. However, our goal is not this terrestrial existence. It is not about eating, sleeping, going out, or to enter pharmacies or hospitals to finally end 6 feet underground. Our goal in this earth is to finally learn the lessons as humans, and we should see that there is more evolved life than this planet that exists only in the sun. Our planetary system is an uncommensurable, immense being, and it is the function of the earth to be the uterus of this planetary system. The earth is the only planet in this system that can give birth to human beings. We have what is called the white and the black suns, and the evolution always continues without ending. And the individual who is not happy with his life experience and that believes that by committing suicide and all his problems are going to end, he is mistaken. This individual is mistaken because our physical body does not belong to us, since this is a vehicle that has been loaned to us in order to manifest ourselves in this physical reality. Changing our physical body does not mean that we have changed, since we only have changed the vehicle, but we continue with the evolution. If we were to take a picture of the heavens when an individual is coming out of the mother's womb, we would know if there is a full moon, if there is a waning moon, or we can know at what distance is Venus or Jupiter, and if these planets are forming a square or an opposition. The individual who is an expert in cosmobiology can obtain from these observations from the heavens fabulous information for the newborn child. For example, what debts the individual left unpaid, or who is going to be requesting retribution. So, in this manner, he can be prepared in advance when to pay the balance of his debts from his previous reincarnation. The physical debts are not much of a problem compared to the debts from the moral and the emotional planes. All the energy of the universe and everything else moves in a spiral form. As how I give is how I shall receive. If I am in a position of authority or responsibility over an individual and I emotionally mistreat such individual by harming, humiliating, and locking him up, these actions are recorded by nature, and we never know when the effects of these negative deeds are going to come back to us like a boomerang. As we have done, it shall be returned to us. Yesterday, I was mentioning that each of us chooses its own executioner, who will cut your head, because each of us is choosing what lessons we need to experience. One might say, if I knew that a lesson was going to be this way, I would not have chosen it. But each of us is acting according to the lessons one needs to learn. It is important to clarify that there are no mistakes that might be so severe and extreme to the point that the individual cannot recover his equilibrium. In other words, individuals that have performed such inconceivable, malevolous, atrocious, and evil acts Sooner or later, these individuals, through nature, laws, reflect and continue evolving. Nobody can remain without evolving forever, nor much less remain condemned for an eternity. The worst act committed by an individual carries a corresponding penalty imposed by nature, and then nature teaches this individual the appropriate lesson so he can continue his evolution. When Jesus used to say, "In my Father's house there are many mansions," he was referring to the fact that we were not the only ones, nor are we the only ones living in this universe. It is too arrogant to believe that we are the only living beings in the universe, or that we are the only existing humans. In less than 70 years that have gone by from the era of Aquarius, all the new inventions, including the laser ray, computers, and satellites, are child's play in comparison to what we are going to have in the future. The great masters have stated that this is a golden era and an era of light. But obviously, this new era is also bringing changes that shake our foundation, affecting our equilibrium. However, these changes and this loss of our equilibrium is to better ourselves. The alignment of planets that would take place on December 2012, and that a great amount of people has considered such a day as the end of the world, is a lie. It is true that we are experiencing and witnessing very extreme and drastic events, such as the crises that are taking place in the Muslim world, and how the economies and the communications in the whole world are transforming, and all of this is bringing about an enormous change. An enormous amount of information is now in the public domain, and nobody can be at fault for such action. The original Kabbalistic masters did not allow this esoteric information to be exposed to the general public. The apocryphal Gospels were not exposed, nor were the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, through the internet, information can be accessed, and absolutely nobody can be at fault. All of this information through the world mass media is going to allow humanity to be educated. This means that very soon we are not going to have more illiterate people, and our universities will be part of a prehistoric era, because now the universities and the education are going to take place at home. The individual should be able to educate himself, and the economy will not be a factor interfering with the individual's education. Whoever has visited the NASA laboratories can observe how the agricultural means have changed, since we can now cultivate eggplants of 1.5 meters long, lettuce that are 2 meters high, or cucumbers of 1.5 meters long. No soil is used to cultivate these plants, and they require a minimum amount of water. We shall see in a not too distant future how an individual is going to have a secure food supply as well as a house to live in. I have witnessed how in 90 minutes a portable house can be built when natural disasters such as hurricanes and floodings occur, and the individual can live in this place for 10 days without lacking anything. In the same manner that those materials that were used in the construction of the space capsule were created to withstand high temperatures and prevent this from melting, the next new materials that are going to be invented to construct the new homes would be highly economical, highly impermeable, and fireproof. In this way, it is cheaper for society, for the individual to have food and a home than to pay for his basic needs in a prison or for his staying in a rehabilitation center. In the future, we will laugh at our present cities, because in these future cities, the essential centers shall not be the pharmacies, hospitals, and prisons, and the norm shall be to be healthy and to be complete, that is, without mutilation. Many of you may say that this is a utopia or it is too far away because of events we are observing. However, the new generations that are being born in the new era of Aquarius come with a mental development in which their mental capacity and potential is being used significantly more. I use the example of the laser ray in order to understand the visible and the invisible realms. Each 21st of March and 22nd of June, during the equinoxes and solstices, a large amount of people visit Xochicalco, Chichen Itza, Teotihuacan, Tikal in Guatemala, Tazumal in El Salvador, or Machu Picchu in Peru. This past June 22nd, a cycle of 12 years was completed in which a great Kumbh Mela or a great pilgrimage takes place, where philosophers and teachers from all around the world get together in Machu Picchu to perform the tying of the sun ceremony. At the present time, we still can visit these sacred sites without any problem, and every year, millions and millions of people visit these sacred sites, and this number continues to increase when in the past these centers were being ignored for a long period of time. Some people arrive to these sacred sites with their six-pack of beer, with their packs of cigarettes, or with a good amount of charcoal to cook, eat, drink, and smoke to the maximum, and begin ascending the pyramids and the centers. These individuals are not halfway ascending when they are already tired and running out of breath. Then they finally arrive to the top of the pyramid or center, and these individuals claim that they want to charge themselves with energy. It is not possible for these individuals to get charged with the energy at these sacred sites, since these individuals are blocked energetically to receive the energy from these places. The fact that such individuals cannot perceive nor experience any of the energies emerging from these centers does not mean that these energies do not exist. These magnetic centers are extremely important because before 1948, the magnetic centers of the planet were located in the Tibet, in Lhasa, in the Mount Kailas, and now all of this radiation of energy has changed to the Andean mountains. During the era of Aquarius, all of these magnetic centers are going to be reactivated just like they were activated previously. Therefore, we need to be prepared in order to perceive and experience the energies from these centers. As I promised yesterday in this workshop, we were going to be talking about the detoxification of the physical body. We are going to be amazed how the body can react when we give it the opportunity to be detoxified because of the way we eat, the way we live, and because our bad habits. We inhibit significantly the functioning of our organism. When this takes place, we then do not understand the larger picture that life has, and therefore, with these obstructions that we create in our bodies, we limit our understanding to better comprehend everything that exists. In this slide, we are able to see a gangrene foot from a diabetic individual. He was not allowed to leave the hospital without having his foot amputated. In order to be released from the hospital, without having his foot amputated, he and his wife had to sign a waiver in which they were responsible for anything that happened to him. When the bandages were removed from his foot, there was not a deodorant capable of neutralizing the foul smell coming out of his foot. When he became aware of the treatment, he stated what the food had to do with his foot.